Welcome back, guys, to the MLG stream. We're mostly covering the IEM Singapore qualifiers, but now we're taking a brief intermission in those qualifiers to cover one of the Red Bull Battlegrounds semifinal matches between State and Scarlett. Of course, the reason we're kind of doing this intermission in the IEM qualifiers is because State has to play in the IEM qualifiers against Puck. Before he can do that, he's got to play this match against Scarlett. So instead of just sitting around waiting to do nothing, we figure, why not cast this match against Scarlett as well? State and Scarlett, both amazing players here. Semifinals of the Red Bull Battlegrounds. NA Qualifier. Of course, the winner of this gets that all-expenses-paid trip to Los Angeles to compete in an event where they will fight over $1,600 in prize money and an all-expenses-paid trip to New York City. It's a best of 3 here. Over on Frost will be the second map. State up 1-0. In the bottom left-hand location of Frost, we have the yellow Zerg representing Acer. She is Scarlett. And going with the hatchery, first opening is Scarlett. Of course, her opponent in the upper right-hand location, representing Root Gaming, the red Protoss, State. It's also important to note that on this map against Huck, earlier today, if you've been watching the stream for the last about 3 hours, I would say, or 2 hours, I think, even about 2 hours ago, or even more recent than that, on this map against Huck, Scarlett went for 3 hatcheries before spawning pool, and against State doing the exact same build. I love this build on this map. Frost is a great map to go 3 hatch before spawning pool. It's very, very large. It's less likely you'll be cannon rush. It's less likely that Protoss will even find you early on in the game. And State going for a gateway expansion is not going to be able to punish the 3 hatch before pool opening very well. You can see there the spawning pool being thrown on an 18 supply, then another drone immediately constructed. Overlord will be next, coming out of Scarlett's production here. Now State throws down that Nexus. 21 supply, very common build now in PvZ. Sky with a probe after throwing down the Nexus. Of course, getting a Mothership Core to help defend any type of aggression. Also accumulate energy for later in the game. Cross map here on Frost, I would say favors the Zerg slightly. Well, it actually really depends on the style. So, if the Protoss wants to do like a gateway all-in, it actually doesn't matter the spawns. Like they're just gonna build a proxy pawn, and I mean it matters to the degree of how many options are there to hide proxy pylons. But on a map like Frost, there's so many good spots to hide proxy pylons. Pretty much everywhere. You can almost always get one up at least around the corner here. If not right in this kind of location, just kind of force up with a Mothership Core. So it's more of a matter of if a Zerg wants to be really aggressive with Roaches and Hydralis, cross map's actually bad for the Zerg because it's a little bit harder for the Zerg rallying their forces in this zone to pressure Protoss third that's all the way up here. But on the other hand, if the Zerg wants to play a super long game, when it's cross map, the Zerg has an easier time taking, a 4th base, and even a 5th base is pretty easy, and then a 6th base is pretty easy too. They can kind of expand in 2 different directions instead of only one direction, as if it was, a close response situation. Meanwhile, State, of course, going up for actually, I feel like he actually forgot his warp gate for a bit. This is a late warp gate tech. He got the Stargate before warp gate by quite a bit, so he has all these gateways. Unfortunately, unable to utilize them as warp gates, at least for the time being, and it'll be that way for a little bit longer as well. Going straight for the Phoenixes, one of the more common openings on a large map like Frost. Phoenixes, of course, are great at hunting down those Overlords, denying your opponent scout information, and of course, allowing you to get so much great scout information yourself just by sending those Phoenixes around to scout your opponent. Meanwhile, Scarlett, on the other hand, adding 2 gases. Only 2 drones in this gas, so that's interesting because there's 3 on this one. It's hard to tell if that's a mistake or intentional at this point. Either way, she's going to go ahead and get a Lair, a Roach Warren, Evo Chamber, 2 more gases. So early on, what Zerg does is they just want to crank out nothing but drones. Then there's a certain point where they're like, okay, I have enough drones I can continually produce more drones if I need to, and I have some extra minerals now. Let's use these minerals to progress my attack tree, get my Roach Warren, get my Evo Chambers up. And she's actually looking for a 3rd base of State. And State's going for a very quick 3rd. Now, if Scarlett scouts this, the fact that she's gotten, +1 weapons fairly quickly, She's got a Roach Warren. She could try for some mass Roach type attack and just take State out early. We'll have to see if she goes for that. Actually, I didn't go to 6 gases. It was probably going to be mass Roach. It may be like a Hydra timing. We saw her use that against Huck as well. Really loves to use his Hydra. It's actually looking like she wants to take a 4th base as well with this drone. So, not going to be a committed attempt at denying State's 3rd base, which I kind of agree with. As I pointed out earlier, cross-map Frost, it's very hard for Zerg to deny the Protoss 3rd base. So, it's a situation where I kind of like her idea of taking her 4th base. As soon as she's kind of figured out maybe State's taking a 3rd base, her Overlord has kind of spotted that. And if it's just a Nexus, maybe it's a fake, but you can see these 2 pylons there as well. That can kind of tell you it's definitely a 3-base Protoss with intentions to go into a macro game. More Spore Cores being built by Scarlett, trying to control the area between her bases so you can continue to send drones between bases, send queens to spread creep. In the meantime, she's going to try to build up a Hydra force to push those Phoenixes out, a very natural reaction to those Phoenixes. In addition to this, she's getting Aspire. And so you can tell by the fact she's taking the 4th base and getting Aspire. It's not going to be some mass Hydra, semi-all-in type play. Just a few Hydras, maybe scare State into thinking she's going all-in. She's getting a range attack upgrade, so it's not one of those builds you just get, 8 Hydras and then you just go straight to Mutas and try to fake it that you're putting on Hydra aggression. It is going to be a legitimate Hydra-based composition going forward. That being said, she can still switch to Mutalist later on in the game, but at least she's putting in a decent amount of resources into committing to a sizable Hydra force. These States establishing proxy pylons are going to warp in some Zealots to harass the 4th base. Of course, this is a situation where Scarlett attacks right now with the Hydras across the map. These Zealots can come in and take out the 4th base. If she just stays at home and defends, obviously they can't do too much here. Meanwhile, State is progressing his tech up as well. He's working on +2 weapons attack. Meanwhile, just focusing on getting a lot of gateways. So State is actually really going to focus on denying the 4th base of Scarlett with a mass gateway attack. And this is something we're going to have to see if Scarlett has spotted yet. She has this Overlord up here that can dive into the main base of State. And if it sees these 4 gateways, in addition to... Actually, has she seen the gateways to the 3rd base of State? Okay, she's seen a good amount of gateways being added. She sees these 4 in Twilight Council. That's going to tell her exactly what's going on. State's going for a mass charge Archon competition. But wait, she's going for Mutalist. This could backfire. If State hits the timing at just the right time, when he has enough charge lots to take out these Hydralists, and he hits before the Mutalist really kind of get that map control going, this could be disastrous for Scarlett. State's really actually, he's fully committing to this mass gateway attack. Nothing but additional gateways being constructed by State. He has another proxy pylon in production. Scarlett has a decent Hydralist count. Right now, she has a supply lead, but remember, State can warp in Zealots at an insane rate with these warp gates, and Zealots with charge are very good against Hydralists once he gets superior numbers. That being said, Scarlett's... Oh, no! All the Phoenix is down from State, and the Mutalists are out on the field now. We can see them heading up towards the 3rd base, of State. And this is a situation where, yes, if he can warp in a ton of charges, he can kill the Hydralists. But what's going to stop these Mutants from coming in here? There's only a single Photon Cannon. They can just wreak absolute havoc in this 3rd base of State. Here we go here. Charge-Off's trying to connect with the Hydralists, doing a decent job. But no! State recalls half his army to deal with the Mutalists. And they're going to force the Mutalists back. But at the same time, State's main army... Actually, no, it's still winning. Charge-Offs are amazing against Hydralists. Warping to more reinforcements here to attack the 4th base. Mutalist will clean this up, though, and now Scarlett's going to reconstruct her Mutalist flock. And while State did kill the Hydralist army of Scarlett, he's pretty much lost a good chunk of his army. He's lost his ability to hit that timing attack, as there's still many Mutalists on the field. Now, yes, he can warp in Zealots to be annoying. He's actually killing a good amount of drones here. But there's too many Mutalists who just warp in, charge out Archons. You're not going to warp in enough Archons that the Archons alone can take on this many Mutalists. State's going to have to go for either Blink Stalkers or Phoenix or a combination of the two. In the meantime, he was able to take out the 5th base of Scarlett, but Scarlett's already taking another 5th base. She's on 8 gases. More Zealot counterattacks from State, desperately trying to keep Scarlett's economy in check, but if you take a look at things, she's on 80 drones. Yes, he's killed a few here, but State's on 3 bases with minimal tech. He's going to have to... He basically... State can't move out on the map ever again until he gets a giant Phoenix fleet. And the amount of time it's going to take him to build that Phoenix fleet is trying to get 2 additional Stargates to really get that Phoenix Armada to counter the Mutas. But, I mean, it's definitely going to be about 3-4 minutes before State can even move out on the map. And in 3-4 minutes, even if he has answered to Mutas, by then Scarlett is going to have so many resources in the bank, she can remax with whatever she wants. That being said, she's not even given those 3-4 minutes, attacking right away now with a giant flock of Mutas. Of course, upgrade-wise, she has 1 attack on the Mutas. She's working on the armor right now, adding Corruptors in to help deal with the Phoenix. The third base is State. There's not even a Photon Overcharge. There are some Phoenix available. And with the Archons to support the Phoenix, it looks like Scarlett... Oh, no, the Phoenix overextends. Scarlett takes out 1, 2. The Mothership Core goes down as well, and oh, Archon's getting a massive splash here. Scarlett's going to have to back away, let those Mutalisks regenerate their life. But as you can use to add in more Corruptors, once the Corruptors can deal with those Phoenixes, she can Magic Box the Archons, and Mutalisks using Magic Box can actually do very well against Archons. Of course, Magic Box is a technique where you keep the Mutalisks spread out as you engage your opponent's forces to ensure that there's no splash damage being dealt. And Archons, their primary way of dealing with Mutalisks is by that splash damage they deal to the whole pack. Look at it, Scarlett's actually bunching up the Mutalisks, so they take a lot of splash damage, but they take out the Archon and they will regenerate given time. So it actually was a good move by Scarlett there to take out that Archon, even though she took a lot of damage on the Mutalisks. Meanwhile, it's killing a lot of probes. Archons can't even get in the base, they have to kill a pylon. But of course, the Mutalisks can jet on out of there. Meanwhile, a massive speeding attack heading towards the third base of State. Oh, I think they can run by this, so when they can run by and go straight for the Nexus. She's going to go for it. Targeting that Nexus down. Now, State does have some decent walls covering that. He's trying to react, but meanwhile, the Mutalisks swing back into the natural. He's trying to defend the natural. He has a natural defender, but the third base, that Nexus, looks like it's going down. The probes are safe. Oh, wait, no, there's enough charge us. You're going to defend that just barely. But that is a prime target for the Mutalisks to run in there and just shoot 1 or 2 volleys off. Meanwhile, Scarlett now on double Spire, upgrading her air units like a maniac. State has a single air attack. Scarlett has 1 air attack. And she's working on, actually, she just got the armor. Taking out the, actually, wow, losing a lot of Mutalisks in the process, but she does get the Nexus. And, you know, Scarlett has no problem replacing her losses. If you look at the gas income, she's got 2 gases over here where saturating those right now with some drones being transferred from her main base. Another base over here. She's got 6 bases worth of gas being mined. That's a ton of gas. She can easily replace any Mutalisk losses she incurs due to this Archon Phoenix composition. Meanwhile, another attack at the third, making sure that's not reestablished. State has to retreat to go to defend, but as he's retreating, the Archons can be picked off as they're coming in 1 by 1. Speedlings and Mutalisks combining to take those guys down. Meanwhile, State's continuing to attack here with some Zealots and Archons, but they're actually retreating as well. The Phoenixes are trying to do what they can, but there's enough Corruptors in the air. Those Phoenixes can't really do too much here against the Mutalisks. They're trying to circle around the Corruptors and get those critical shots off on the Mutalisks. Meanwhile, the Archons have decided that they're not going to go home. In fact, they're just going to try to counterattack, realizing that Scarlett's economy is too much. If he goes home, even if he forces the Mutalisks away, she will just run away, and on 2 bases, there's no way State can win this unless this small force works a miracle, but I don't know how much those units can do. Scarlett depowering all the gateways here. She's actually going to head home with this force to clean up these Archons. Archons here, trying to do what they can. Archon scores very effective against Speedings and Mutalisks, but if you take a look at the Army Value tab, Scarlett outnumbers State by an amazing amount. A lot of that isn't Corruptors, which are fairly useless. I mean, they do help against the Phoenixes, but there's definitely a few too many Corruptors at this moment. But the Archons here, coming in with Speedlings and Mutalisks. Speedlings trying to take the damage. Mutalisks dealing it. 1 Archon goes down. You see the spread of the Mutalisks, so the Archons cannot do splash damage. 2, 3 Archons go down. 4 Archons go down. That's a win for Scarlett. Tying it up. It's going to be 1-1 in a best of 3 here in the Red Bull Battlegrounds America semifinal match. Scarlett ties it up. Game 3 coming next.